Every sign points to Donald Trump winning the 2020 election. But if he does, it's going to feel very different than election night 2016. When Trump won in 2016, it was amazing. It was what's going on? This is awesome. Are you kidding me? And you're just like sticking it to the media. I watch videos from election night, the election night montages from CNN and NBC. They're hilarious. And all the memes of Hillary supporters crying in the streets. It's awesome. So I'm still celebrating just the entire 2016-ness. That day was unbelievable. But when Trump wins in 2020, it's going to be very different. It's going to be very different. The closest I can liken it to is, have you seen the HBO miniseries John Adams? If you haven't watched it, you need to. Gosh, it's old now. But once our founding fathers voted for independence, you'd think they'd be excited. You'd think they'd high five each other. I don't know if George Washington was big on the high five, but you would have think that they'd be elated and jumping up and down or excited or smile, but they weren't. They were silent, and they just looked at each other because they knew the severity of what they just did. They understood deeply what was now ahead of them. And I feel like it's going to be the same. And I know some progressives are going to be like, oh, Slater compared Trump to George Washington. It's going to be the same thing when Trump wins again. And I anticipate me saying, okay, here we go. Here's the next 4 years. It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. Because as the media still makes it out to seem, certainly did in 2016 and will do even more, but Trump's the worst person on the planet. Do you remember in 2016, it was this whole, we can't let him near the nuclear codes. Do you remember all that talk? And his supporters are going to be emboldened. And in 2020, his supporters are going to be even more emboldened to do terrible things. You know, like all those attacks that Trump supporters did in the last 3 years. You know all the... Well, you know them all. You know all the times that the MAGA hat wearers attacked. I don't either. I don't remember. I remember MAGA hat wearers being attacked, but I don't remember any Trump supporters doing the attacking, even though that's what the left's been freaking out about for the last 3 years. I do remember in 2017, the guy who went to the Republican baseball practice and almost shot and killed 24 Republican senators. Could you imagine if the police officers weren't there? And they were only there because Steve Scalise was the majority whip at the time. It would have been a massacre of Republican senators. That was 2.5 years ago. That wasn't that long ago. And the Attorney General at the time said the act was fueled by rage against Republican legislators. So I wonder why that story never gets mentioned anymore, right? Because it has to be the Trump supporters who are the violent ones. But even Trump himself, has Trump done, in 3 years, has he done anything dangerous? Anything insane, anything terrible and awful? I'm asking progressives. People who were so scared in 2016 that I'm serious, sought clinical psychiatric help, fearing that he'd round everyone up in internment camps. I'm talking to you, if you believe that. Has he done anything remotely close to that in the last 3 years? The closest you can say, maybe the first thing is kids in cages at the border. That was all happening under Obama, and Trump changed the policy on family separation. So you got nothing. So the fear of Trump the last 4 years has been completely unfounded. And their concern for the next 4 years when he wins again is going to be equally unfounded. But it's going to be even crazier. They're going to freak out 1,000 times more. The wild card really is how the left will react to Trump winning, not how the right will. Let me play this clip. This is Michael Moore just the other day. By the way, Michael Moore predicted Trump's winning maybe earlier than anyone. So here's Michael Moore the other day.
2/3 of all white guys voted for Trump. That means anytime you see 3 white guys walking at you down the street toward you, 2 of them voted for Trump. You need to move over to the other sidewalk because these are not good people that are walking towards you. You should be afraid of them.
So we're going to have 4 more years of the left being afraid of you. What will they do in fear if Trump wins again? How will they, in their completely unfounded fear of you, how will that fear cause them to act? honestly, if there was an objective observer, they would be way more concerned about how the progressives living in fear of 2/3 of white people, how they would act, than they would have concern about how those 2/3 of white people will act. Okay, there's a lot there. We got to wrap up the show. I bring all this up because this election, every sign is pointing to Trump to win, but all of that could change the day before the election with some war, some terrorist attack. Well, this brings it back around to what's going on in the embassy right now. We kicked off the show with Mark Geist, one of the heroes from Benghazi. Trump could have a 100% chance of winning, and then at the last moment, there's a terrorist attack, and the entire board changes. Or let's say Trump orders an attack like he did with al-Baghdadi a few months ago, but instead of it going perfectly for the Americans, a bunch of Navy SEALs get killed. Right? The Baghdadi attack, no Americans were killed. It's a miracle. But what if in that same attack, some IED was sitting around the corner and all the special forces guys died and Baghdadi got away? That would be a very different news story today. What if we get in some war with Iran over what's going on in Baghdad right now and a couple of helicopters crash and Americans die? The media will never let that go. And every single day, they're going to beat the drum of Trump being an incompetent and dangerous commander-in-chief. My point is, be careful of 2020 predictions, because everything could be headed down a certain path, and then all of a sudden, in an instant, the entire game changes.